I mean, a lot of the people that have resigned in the last 24 hours, it's the head of the criminal division of the Civil Rights Division. Those are those who prosecute civil rights violations, including by police officers. Some of very experienced, like you said, Mr. Thompson, very experienced prosecutors in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota. Those in those positions are the ones who I think really you're talking about, right? Because they are in the positions where they're high enough level, they have enough experience, they know what they're being asked to do is wrong, and to stay in these situations, at some point it's probably going to come for them. I'm not going to say the same thing about lower level rank and file. You know, there's 93 U.S. Attorney's Office. There's certainly been pressure on a number of them, but there are still many that I think are probably effectively prosecuting the kinds of crimes that we would expect federal prosecutors to prosecute, and we do need that. But that's different than, you know, but when you are asked, and if you are asked, everyone should have a piece of paper in their desk with their resignation, because if they are asked to do something that they think is either, you know, unjustified, immoral, unethical, not supported by the evidence, they need to be ready to say no.
Right. Yeah, so much to say about this. I will start by noting that I talked to a former pretty senior person in that office today who told me that the office is shaken in Minnesota and that there yet may still be additional resignations. So I'll start there. I would note here, though, that after Watergate, DOJ put in place a series of norms that did mostly two things. I'm oversimplifying. But one, it was to protect the department from political interference, but also to make sure that it adhered to the rule of law. And by rule of law, I mean that's a fancy legal term for treating like cases alike. So you don't have special rules for special groups of people. It is normal, even standard, when situations like occurred in Minnesota for the Civil Rights Division with the U.S. Attorney's Office to lead this investigation and to share that data with officials on the ground. And because this Trump Justice Department is not doing it, that's why you see such a visceral reaction, and why there may be yet even additional resignations.
Mary, they're incurious about what happened with this shooting, but they are very curious, it seems, about Renee Good. You have this reporting from the New York Times. The FBI opening an inquiry into the ICE shooting. They are examining the victim's possible ties to activist groups. In recent months, Trump administration officials have repeatedly vowed to crack down on left-wing activists. They have filed criminal charges against the purported members of what prosecutors described as an Antifa cell in Texas who fired at immigration officers and activists in California accused of plotting to set off homemade bombs outside two companies near L.A. on New Year's Eve. But the investigation into protesters in Minneapolis might be different, if only because it has the potential to involve people not accused of committing any violence or even those without a close connection to Ms. Good. They have been broadcasting for months now that they have the intention of either criminalizing or stripping of legal status 501c3s aligned with progressive causes. And it would seem to me that they're almost using Renee Good, hoping to reverse engineer from this horrific incident an avatar for what they have told us for months they intend to do.
And they told us when the president signed NSPM 7, right? His proclamation saying use every tool in the federal government's toolbox to go after the left. And that's not just those who might engage in First Amendment protected protest, but also the funders who might fund nonprofits and others who engage in free speech activity, freedom of association, help migrants, for example, including those lawfully here. So, yes, they've been channeling this. I think there's a couple of other good points to make here. While basically coming out, they right within moments after the shooting, we had high-level administration officials saying, you know, this was done and over. This was self-defense done by terrorists, like nothing to see here. You know, you never, I mean, I've lived through, and Anthony probably has many different investigations into police excessive force, and any investigation into a shooting, you never make a declaration before you get the evidence, right? We, you know, then over the hours, new videos came in showing different things. We still don't have the medical examiner's report. Which of the shots killed her? We don't have the ballistics to match up what was the trajectory of that shot. Was it the first shot that came from the front, or was it the shots that were when her car was pulling away. You never would make these kind of statements. But this was a way for then the Civil Rights Division to say, nothing to see here. We're not going to investigate. We're standing up for law enforcement. And can I point out the hypocrisy? We we memorialized 5 years since January 6th, a week ago today, and those attacks on police officers, who was the victim there? Right. The attackers. Here we're seeing, oh, we've got to stand up for these law enforcement. So there's that hypocrisy there, and then we turn it on the peaceful protesters. It's different than the cases you mentioned in Texas. Whatever icing they want to put on it, call it Antifa, that's icing. A real shooting is a real shooting, and if it's targeted at law enforcement, it should be investigated and it should be prosecuted if those who were responsible can be located and charged. But this is not that. This is people engaged in peaceful protest.